If you've ever looked at your grapevine and thought, this plant is healthy, green, and growing fast, so why am I not getting grapes? You're not alone. Many growers assume that lots of leaves automatically mean lots of fruit, but with grapes, the opposite is often true. A vine can look strong and still fail to produce because all of its energy is being wasted in the wrong places. Grapevines are naturally aggressive growers. If left on their own, they will pour energy into long shoots and thick foliage instead of fruit. That's why so many people end up with vines that look impressive from a distance, but give disappointing harvests year after year. The difference between leafy vines and fruit-heavy vines comes down to a few critical management decisions. Growing grapes successfully isn't about adding more fertilizer or letting the plant grow freely. In fact, too much growth is often the reason grapes fail to form properly. Grapes need direction, balance, and timing. When those things are missing, the plant focuses on survival and expansion instead of reproduction. Welcome to Daily Plant Life, where we focus on growing smarter, not harder. In this video, we're breaking down 5 essential steps to grow tons of grapes, not just leaves. These steps are based on how grapevines actually allocate energy and how experienced growers control that growth to encourage heavy fruiting instead of excessive foliage. Before we get into the steps, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Your climate plays a big role in grape growth. And it helps to understand what conditions viewers are working with around the world. Whether you're growing grapes in a backyard, on a farm, or in a home garden, these principles apply across different regions. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your grapevine behaves the way it does and how to guide it toward fruit production instead of uncontrolled leaf growth. Once you apply these steps correctly, your vine will stop wasting energy and start doing what it's supposed to do: producing grapes. Step 1. Proper pruning. Fruit only grows on controlled wood. If you want grapes instead of endless leaves, pruning is not optional. It is the foundation of grape production. Grapes only form on new shoots that grow from last season's wood, not on old overgrown vines. When pruning is ignored or done lightly, the vine wastes energy maintaining old growth instead of producing fruit-bearing shoots. Many growers hesitate to prune aggressively because it feels like they're damaging the plant. In reality, underpruning is one of the main reasons grapevines become leafy but unproductive. A vine that is allowed to keep too much wood spreads its energy too thin, resulting in long, weak shoots and very little fruit. Proper pruning concentrates the vine's energy into fewer, stronger shoots. This forces the plant to direct nutrients and sugars into fruit development rather than uncontrolled growth. Experienced grape growers remove up to 70 to 90% of the previous season's growth, leaving only the strongest canes positioned to produce fruit. When pruning, focus on structure, not size. Keep healthy canes that are well positioned and remove tangled, shaded, or weak growth. Once pruning is done correctly, the vine responds with balanced growth and significantly improved grape production. Without this step, no amount of fertilizer or watering will fix a leafy, unproductive vine. Step 2. Control nitrogen, or your vine will choose leaves over grapes. One of the biggest reasons grapevines produce excessive leaves and very little fruit is too much nitrogen. Nitrogen is the nutrient responsible for leafy growth, and grapevines are extremely responsive to it. When nitrogen is abundant, the vine interprets that as a signal to grow aggressively, sending energy into long shoots, thick foliage, and rapid expansion instead of fruit development. Many growers unintentionally overfeed their vines by using rich composts, high nitrogen fertilizers, or animal manure without realizing the effect it has on grape production. The vine may look healthy and vibrant, but internally, it has shifted its priority away from reproduction. In grapevines, fruiting only happens when the plant feels balanced, not when it feels overstimulated. Japanese and European grape growers understand this principle very well. They do not aim for fast growth. They aim for controlled growth. Their soils are balanced, not overly rich, and fertilizers are used carefully, often in small amounts, or only when deficiency is visible. This restraint forces the vine to redirect energy into flower formation and fruit set rather than endless shoot growth. To apply this step correctly, stop feeding your grapevine blindly. If your vine is producing long, soft shoots and dense foliage with few flowers, reduce nitrogen inputs immediately. Focus instead on soil balance and allow the vine to slow down. When growth becomes moderate instead of explosive, the plant naturally begins to shift energy toward grape production, which is exactly what you want. Step 3. Manage sunlight. Grapes need light, not shade. Grapevines need sunlight to produce fruit, but more importantly, the fruiting zones of the vine must receive direct light. When leaves grow too dense, they create shade around the buds and flower clusters, reducing the vine's ability to form and ripen grapes. A shaded vine may look healthy, but it will always struggle to produce quality fruit. Many growers focus only on how much sunlight the plant receives overall, without considering how that light reaches the inner parts of the vine. Thick foliage blocks airflow and traps moisture, which further reduces flower development and increases the risk of disease. Proper light exposure encourages flowering, fruit set, and even ripening later in the season. Experienced grape growers manage sunlight through selective leaf removal and proper training. This does not mean stripping the vine bare, but rather removing excess leaves that block light from reaching developing clusters. By opening up the canopy, the vine can photosynthesize efficiently while still allowing sunlight to reach the fruiting areas. When sunlight is managed correctly, the vine balances growth naturally. Shoots stop stretching unnecessarily, flowers develop more evenly, and grapes ripen with better flavor and structure. Without this step, even well-pruned and properly fed vines can remain leafy and underproductive. Step 4. Control water. Stressed vines fruit better. One of the biggest mistakes grape growers make is watering too frequently or too generously. Grapevines are naturally adapted to handle moderate dryness, and when water is always abundant, the vine focuses on producing shoots and leaves instead of fruit. Excess water signals the plant that survival growth is more important than reproduction. When a grapevine experiences mild, controlled stress, it shifts its energy priorities. Instead of pushing new foliage, the plant begins to invest more resources into flowering and fruit development. This stress does not mean letting the plant suffer, but rather avoiding constant saturation and unnecessary watering. Professional grape growers carefully manage irrigation, especially after flowering. Water is reduced slightly to slow vegetative growth while still supporting fruit development. This balance encourages better fruit set and improves grape quality. Overwatering during this stage often results in large vines with poor yields. To apply this step, water deeply but less often, allowing the soil to dry slightly between waterings. Observe the vine rather than following a strict schedule. When water is controlled properly, the vine naturally redirects energy away from leaf production and toward grapes, which is exactly the outcome you want. Step 5. Stop overfeeding. Balance creates fruit. After pruning, water control, and sunlight management, the final piece that determines whether a grapevine produces fruit or just foliage is feeding balance. Grapevines do not need constant feeding to produce grapes. In fact, overfeeding, especially late in the season, is one of the fastest ways to push the vine back into leaf production. When nutrients are applied too frequently, the vine interprets this as a signal to continue vegetative growth instead of finishing fruit development. This leads to long shoots, delayed ripening, and poor fruit quality. Many growers unknowingly sabotage grape production by feeding when the vine no longer needs it. Experienced growers feed strategically and sparingly. Nutrients are applied early in the season to support initial growth, then reduced or stopped as flowering and fruit set begin. This forces the vine to work with what it has, encouraging energy to be directed toward grape development rather than new leaves. To apply this step correctly, stop adding fertilizer once fruit has set, unless there is a clear deficiency. Focus on maintaining soil health rather than pushing growth. When feeding is controlled and timed properly, the vine completes its cycle by producing fruit, not excess foliage. Growing grapes isn't about pushing the vine harder, it's about controlling where the plant sends its energy. When pruning is done correctly, nitrogen is controlled, sunlight reaches the fruiting zones, water is managed, and feeding is balanced, the vine naturally shifts from leaf production to fruit production. These 5 steps work together. Skipping one often causes the others to fail, which is why so many grapevines look healthy, but stay unproductive. When you apply all 5 consistently, the vine stops wasting energy and starts doing what it's meant to do, producing grapes. This is daily plant life. If this video helped you understand why your grapevine hasn't been producing, let me know in the comments and share where you're growing from. Stay connected for more practical growing guides, and I'll see you in the next one.